and they had nothing for them, and said, wait and see. A lot of places are canceling, some are doing it. Ottawa's canceled all of theirs. What some towns are doing it, are going ahead with parades, but the firefighters here in Merrickville have opted not to have a parade.
Fair enough.
Okay.
We'll see next year.
Yes. Yes. Oh, and
Thank you.
I think for a lot of people, I know myself, ever since I've got here, I've always wondered about the Christmas in Merrickville committee as opposed to the Chamber of Commerce. Like, it's not a Chamber of Commerce event, but it's closely related to the Chamber of Commerce, I guess. I'm not sure.
We couldn't be as talk some of them, but yeah, we'll
okay. Yes, we've got a, just texted Gary to see if he's coming or not. So I think we'll go ahead and start though. Hi, Claire.
Hi, Claire.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. So if that's okay with everybody, I will, because we have a lot of documents to go through. So I'd like to call the meeting to order at 5:05, please, Janice. And everybody has a copy of their agenda. Does anybody have any additions, changes, or anything to the agenda that I sent out last week at all? No? Can I have one of the two of you, Claire and Janice? Can you move and shake for me today?
Yeah,
I
will move.
Two. Okay, that's great. Thank you. To accept it as is.
The
Janice?
agenda, yeah.
Thank you. Janice?
Sure.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
By the way, anybody got any pecuniary?
Oh, yes, the pecuniary.
Yes.
I forgot about that. No pecuniary. Claire, anything pecuniary? No?
Nope.
Sorry. Thank you, Janice.
You're welcome.
Okay, and moving on to the minutes, which I apologize, we should have approved the minutes from August 4th. And we didn't approve them because we ended up canceling the following meeting. So those should have been approved in October. So it was my error that they weren't approved. So can I forward them again to remind people. May I have a motion then to approve the minutes from October 4th, please?
Yep. I'll motion them.
Mm-hmm.
Or unless you want to alternate, Janice.
Well, since I sort of did the minutes, it always seems to me that I'm not sure I should be the one approving.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think that's very acceptable. Thank you. And I would like to do the same for the October meeting as well. I'd like to approve those minutes, Claire and Janice.
Yep. I'll motion that.
Excellent. Janice will second it.
Happy to second that.
Thank you. That's great. Okay. Now, first of all, I want to thank Bob very much for getting all that material together for us. There's so much. It's sort of like where to start. So if everybody's okay, I propose I'll just share my screen and we'll look at the documents together. Is that okay?
I don't know I'm looking at the right one.
Yeah, just there are many of them. So I'm going to start with, let me just share my screen with you right now. Excel. So I'm going to start with the landfill. So that is a copy of the landfill reporting 2019 is what it's called.
If you go to the second tab at the bottom
the
there.
recycle. Yeah, so that's great. Thank you, Claire. So I'm going to do my very best to kind of go through these numbers. I don't know how far into the past we want to go, everybody. I don't think it's really necessary for the sake of time. I thought maybe we just start at 2019. How does everybody feel about that?
Seems reasonable.
Is that Claire? What do you think?
Well, the only thing I would note is in the 2011 waste management plan, there was goals set for 2016.
Okay.
So it might be worth just looking
checking.
at.
Good point. Do you happen to have reference to that document, Claire?
Yes.
You could just help us out with that.
Yep, it's at the very end of the waste management plan in 2016, or in 2011 it was made, and in 5
Yep.
years it was supposed to be checked in
That's
to
right.
see how those goals were being met. So the two goals were to increase the blue box diversion from, they put 209 tons to 260 tons per year of what would otherwise be going to landfill diverted into recycling. And then they also set a goal to increase diversion. I'm not sure how this differs, but anyway, to increase diversion from waste at the landfill to 50%. So I guess in all the areas of recycling beyond blue box, that whole diversion would be 50% of what was coming in to the landfill site.
Wow.
So I don't
That's
know
a big,
I don't know how we,
yeah, how we measure that. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's big, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
they
we
don't,
didn't have, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Claire.
Well, we don't have a year-end review for 2016 to see if those specific goals were met, because our year-end reports that we did get start in 2018. So, but it's just a good idea of the benchmarks that they were going.
I wonder if we
for.
should request that report. It wouldn't be probably easy enough to get access to that for our next meeting. We could just add that as a topic of conversation.
Which report is that, Annie?
Claire, that's from 2016, right? The waste management
Well,
report
just-
from. So
Yeah, the 2011 plan set targets for 5 years for 2016. It might be interesting to see if those are met, but we can also base whether those are being met now. Like it's not necessary, but it's just something that they had specified in that report.
So we've got them from starting 2018, Bob. So it'd be great to have. So that is the specific report, Claire. I think it's one of the public. So it'd be this one. Sorry, can't see here. This one here, but for 2016. So report public works 01 2016. So we've got them starting at 2019, which is what we requested, but the same report for 2016, Bob.
We can certainly try and find that. Although you do have the 2016 recycle report in here, right? So
yes, and
Yeah,
looking
we
at
do.
the 2016 numbers, it was looking to increase from 209 to 260 metric tons a year of blue box recycling. I don't see a single year in this 2016 to 2021, I guess to 2020 is what it's reporting.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I don't see any numbers over 200.
Yep.
For blue box recycling, even if you combine containers
both
and
numbers.
fibers together,
Yeah.
you don't get over
Agreed.
200. So it seems to me like from when the time that the 2011 plan was made and targets set for 2016, that there is less blue box recycling happening since that time.
So
Which
it
could-
might, yeah. Sorry, Claire, just to jump in, it might be best to look at it in terms of percentages, because there was a significant decline in the amount of material that went into the landfill once we put the scales in as well.
Yeah.
So we had a previous, if you remember, the previous employees we had at the landfill. Anyway, once they brought in a tighter control system, put in the weigh scales, and have 2 attendants on site, it's much better controlled in terms of the amounts. So I think to get a better picture, you might want to look at percentage increases overall.
Yeah, I did look at that as well, and I think that like the percentage is getting closer to half and half. The 50% target that they set in 2011 is being reached, which is good. Yeah, so it's not exactly. It's slightly more to the side of recycling now at this point for fibers and for containers. I'm not sure if when they set that diversion rate what they counted as part of that. It doesn't specify, it just says overall diversion rate of 50%, but it does look like things are heading in the right direction in percentages. I was also thinking about the tonnage decreasing because obviously less is accepted to be recycled.
Exactly. Yeah.
There is less considered recyclable than there would have been back then. So yeah.
And that's and how is that measured? That's exactly what I was thinking, Claire. Yeah. So there's no way really to identify that.
I suppose.
But the percentage is good.
Percent, yeah, that's worked somewhere, yeah. So that's percentage of recycled versus a percentage of material going into the landfill, right, Claire?
Yes, yeah. If I understand the graph correctly here, this table, that
Yep.
if that's what it's saying, then yes, I believe it's approaching and exceeding 50% in the last couple of years, which is great.
And I wonder if that takes into account any contamination of, so that's when it, presumably when it actually leaves our landfill site? Yes.
Yes, if that's a question, I
Yeah,
know, and that's a
right?
very good,
Yeah,
that's a very
I
good
just-
question in terms of also,
That's
are
all
they
we can
accepting
control
it?
anyway, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Go ahead, sorry, Bob.
Oh, well, you just, if you listen to the fellows at the landfill site, they're pretty up to date on what they, plastic is worth $25 a ton right now, or they're not taking it or whatever. But they're a really great source of information. And I think, as you mentioned at your last meeting, getting more information like that into people's hands is really, it's the key to really successful recycling, because people just throwing stuff in the recycle bin doesn't mean it's recycled.
No, and I think there's huge, there is no information, because I was going through that. I ran into a situation where I'm doing a shift a week at the Yellow Canoe, and we had a bit of an argument about what went into they're very, very conscientious about what goes into the recycling bin, they compost and so on. I was very impressed with that. However, they had no idea that clamshells were not recyclable. So, and these are diligent people who are really trying hard to make a difference. So I think there's nothing on the website currently that says what we do and don't recycle. You've got to dig pretty deeply but I couldn't find it. I looked a couple of days ago. I don't know if it's moved somewhere else or changed, but the actual is not on the website. So it's very difficult to tell, but I suggest that most people don't realize that clamshells are not recyclable. So there is some education, Bob, that we definitely have to do. So
Definitely.
yeah, from that perspective, I think there are a lot of things that people just do not realize.
I usually read everything that comes every time there's an update as to that sort of thing. And I discovered a couple of weeks ago that I had been recycling something that you can't recycle. And I had not found that anywhere.
No,
or I wouldn't have done it. And
and there is no
not
document.
a disaster, I suspect, but on the other hand, I'd rather do it right.
Yeah, we need to be more transparent about that. I think it's worthy of something that goes out in the newsletter, or there is something, a PDF downloadable, like there is the recycling schedule on the website. But currently, unless it's hidden somewhere very, very deep, I could not find it. So if I can't find it, then I'm assuming a lot of people can't. So
that might be the first step in the education plan, is to
so I
make it more
propose
accessible, make the list.
Yeah, so yes, let's make sure it's a comprehensive list, and let's remind people, if we're in this situation, that let's at least do well what we're doing now, by not throwing things in the recycling bin that shouldn't be there. So I don't know if we can make that, I know how we can do that. We just task that to the staff, Bob, do we need to make a resolution? Recommendation, okay. Not a resolution for this, not a.
I think if you, we can, whether you put it in your minutes, if you, a comprehensive recycling list, more readily accessible, is that how you'd like?
On the
to frame
website,
it?
yeah, at least, on the website, or,
So it would be under the frequently asked questions section right away. So I think we can manage that. I'll put that down on my list and get back to you on it for the next meeting if you like, and just
that would be
see whether we
great,
can manage that with that resolution.
Yeah.
So it would
Could
be,
Go ahead, Claire.
Could we potentially post that as well, perhaps on the bulletin board outside the post office
Good
and a
idea.
few other places in
Yes.
town, because not everyone's looking on the website very often,
I agree.
and or put it out on social media. I know
As well,
the town Facebook page has, I think it's posted something like that before, but it doesn't hurt to keep posting stuff like that if we're not going to increase the amount of recyclable materials that we're accepting, then increasing compliance is the only thing we can do to help
The only
our
thing we have
diversion
control
rate,
over.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know, to make sure this gets done, Bob, is it worthy of a resolution? And not to say that you won't try and get the information, but I think it's certainly a
Well,
doable
I think
thing,
as
right?
part of your overall report to council, like you, if I recall, if you're still going with that, you wanted to do an education piece for people. Like the next step would be the video or YouTube video on what's recyclable and how to make sure that you don't contaminate your waste. So the first step could
Would
very
be
well
that, yeah, I think we
Yeah.
need to, because the whole YouTube thing is a lovely idea, but that's going to be time. And so I think first things, and you know what, staff may already have that list readily available, right?
Well, they do have, I was
So-
going to say, there's a package that they're putting out for new businesses with the Chamber of Commerce, and there's talk of extending this welcome package to new residents as well.
That would
And
be a
the new
great
business
package.
one has a list of what's recyclable, the days that they are and everything. So
Okay,
there is the material out there, and we can certainly just try and put it in. So what I would ask staff to do is just our comprehensive recycling list, but make it available on all media platforms that we have.
yeah, as well as Claire suggested, putting it at the post office, printing one, and putting it at the post office.
Yeah, and that, bizarre as it sounds, is a media platform for us too, because we don't have that many, but
Yeah.
can
But
post
just,
off.
I think, and if we can, do that ASAP, that would be,
Well,
that was
I'll
So
get
we can-
that off to village
we can-
staff. and
great.
I can report
so we
back
can
to-
task Bob with that.
Yeah, that'll be mine.
Awesome. That's great. I mean, as you say, Claire, it's the best we can do in the situation. So at least we're educating people, and perhaps it brings up some conversation of avoiding using those, if they can't recycle them, and avoiding using some of those things as well, right? But clamshells will be a big shock for many people.
Well,
because,
Tetra Packs still surprise people.
yes, and Tetra Packs. Yes, two of those are the glaring ones, and black plastic. We need the black plastic. So yes, okay, that would be great. So sorry, I got a little bit off on a tangent on that. But okay, so is there anything else we want to discuss? And we can compare, if we would like, over the years. I mean, there's not a huge difference in. I mean, it's notable, but if I look at the total down here, the total fibers, that's kind of surprised me here. That has gone down over last year. That was surprising to me, and I'm not quite sure why. I mean, it's difficult to know why, right? In any of the circumstances, all we can look at is at the numbers.
I think it's hard. Sorry.
Go ahead, Claire.
This past couple years is extra tricky with COVID, or I guess this is just 2020. So 2020 itself might be different with shops being closed and things like that, because they use a lot of cardboard.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I did try to look at more the percentage, because I don't know what explains the overall volume increasing and decreasing, but
I think it's
a lot more online ordering and this and that has different kinds of packaging. And I suspect, I mean, that started in 2019, for heaven's sake, seems like forever. It was. So the last couple of years, as you say, Claire, are a little bit odd anyway.
Yeah, it's true. We have to take that into account.
Hopefully, as things have sort of, okay, we're not back to where we were, but we're darn sight closer. We may find that 2021 and certainly 2022 make a big difference.
We'll make, certainly, yes.
It wouldn't
The second
surprise me.
half.
Let's put it that way. It wouldn't surprise me. But
Yeah.
I never thought I'd buy that much crap online. I mean, really.
No, I know. I think a lot of people are in the same.
They're all pretty good at recycling recyclable containers for what you buy now, though. I will grant them that. There wasn't much I had to throw out. It was mostly, it could go into the paper, so.
Yeah, I think they're paying attention to that. Other
They've
people are
gotten
paying
better.
attention to that. They're
Yeah.
forced to. Okay, I mean, there's no need to explore any of the other areas on the spreadsheet, I don't think, unless anybody has any questions, concerns. Thank you, Claire, very much for pulling those percentages together. Super helpful.
Sure.
No, to move on to another one of these. I'm just going to stop sharing here for a second. And look at my list. Next one, landfill diversion totals. So I'm going to bring up that document. landfill diversion totals, and that was. I'm just making sure I have to show all. Okay, so reporting, okay, so it's another spreadsheet. I'm just gonna open that one, and I'm gonna just share my screen again, everybody. Okay, and it is actually the other Excel. So it's this one here. Can everybody see this? Yeah. Yep. Okay. So this is 2019. Oh, sorry.
I see the same spreadsheet, yeah.
Oh, do you see the same?
I see the spreadsheet still.
Okay,
for
so
some
let
reason.
me let me share my whole thing with you guys. Let me just see. How's that? Can you see it now? Schedule A.
Here we go. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
Oh, there we are.
So we've got 2016 through the 2018 totals. There's no times, paper, scrap. Down e-waste is up. Here. Revenues, not so concerned about the revenues. So, I'm just looking at these. Everybody, anybody have any comments or anything they want to? Those are the 3 years. Go ahead,
I
Claire.
found this a little hard. Well, I
I'm-
found this a little hard to look at because there's no, we have our recycling, but we don't have our landfill
Yep.
in this graph. So the diversion rate it's not really a rate if you only have, if you don't have them to
Yeah, and the
compare. Like it's
comparison,
comparing
exactly.
volumes over the years,
Yeah.
which is good, but it's not comparing it volumes of recycling to volume
Of
landfill
The actual
stuff.
what's going into landfill.
Or,
So I'm
yeah,
not quite sure what
waste.
and even if you go down further, the revenue is not so much a concern for us. Garbage in tons, unless they're, even here, you've got the garbage in tons and you've got 2017 and 18. Again, not sure what, let's see, we've got the first, second, I think that presumably they all look the same. Second quarter 2019. Okay, this is slightly different here. Oh, that's no, that doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very yeah, I was trying to figure out what was what. So I don't think these are properly titled, these spreadsheets, quite honestly. Because this one, yeah.
That's the fire department there.
I don't know why we have the fire department on this document, so I'm not quite sure the purpose. So I don't know there's much we can glean from this. Anybody have any comments or any?
I mean, if you look at, it looks like our paper recycling got better and then
Yeah.
worse.
And then worse, so
So-
yeah, so
We don't know why exactly, but
yeah, so you look at the graph
same with
here.
containers.
Yeah, and then it went
These
down
are-
again. Yeah,
So these are totals, eh? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
so first quarter, second quarter.
so without going into first, second quarter, Bob, because once we go into the first, second quarter, then we've
Yeah,
got the fire
exactly.
department. So I don't think these are, so the elements of any value to us or interest to us, of course, is the one
Yeah.
that refers to the.
Unless this isn't first quarter, this is the year, 2016 totals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Could
Looks like
be.
it's
Yep.
yearly.
yearly.
It really just shows us the trend from 2016 to improvements
Exactly.
in 2017, which was also reflected in the other information we had.
Yeah.
2017 and 18 were getting quite a bit better.
Yeah.
And then, or 2017 got quite a bit better than 2016. And then
Then we drop down.
I
again.
imagine that's when the shift happened where less recyclable was accepted by the contractor. That's
And
my
that
only
may have
guess.
been, I think, 2008. That would be a good that year. I think you're right. That's when things started to change, Claire. I thought it was a little bit earlier than that, but maybe 2018 would be when we actually saw the difference. I think 2017, if I remember correctly, that's when we stopped accepting Tetra Paks. That's when it changed. But so what does this mean for us? I mean, and we have nothing to compare with the e-waste, so we don't know. I mean, things have gone, and I note there are changes to e-waste as well. The government's making some changes with e-waste. Bob, we'll go into that after. But so yeah, so there was increase in what years? I don't know. So it's difficult. This is very
So
difficult. to-
2017 to 2018 got better for e-waste, it looks
Yeah.
like a bit.
Yeah.
But everything else seems to have declined from the year
Declined,
before.
yeah.
And even from 2016, actually.
Exactly, yeah. Which is not a good thing since the population has increased, right? So. And that is due, we can, assume it's due to things being less and less recyclable. We can make that assumption, but it's only an assumption, right? We don't know that for a fact.
Yeah, and
Are people actually, sorry, Bob, are they not recycling as much? I don't know. So, what were you gonna say? Sorry, Bob.
oh, I was just going to suggest, do we have the, I'm running off yours. I don't want to jump back and forth to find it. Do we have the total tonnage of waste that went into the dump over that period? Just out of curiosity. Garbage in tons. There we are.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah, so garbage 133 in 2017 and 711 in 2018. It's big.
That's
It's
pretty
double,
big.
isn't it? That's dramatic.
Yeah. Now, again, the scale might have a lot to do with that. The installation of the scale. I'd have to find out what year the scale was put in place because, to be honest, I can't think of when it was.
So
it might say in one of those other documents that you sent us, the
one of the
year-end
other ones?
reports.
Okay, yeah, we can take a look
I
at
think
that. We'll
it's
look
in
through
there.
there. Okay, so we'll bear that in mind here as to explore that a little bit further. 'Cause yes, in reading the other ones, there was some synopsis of what was happening. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing. And then I'm gonna go to the next document, which is the landfill reporting 2020. Landfill reporting 2020. Sorry. Landfill reporting 2020. Recycling.
Those two numbers are interesting because if you're talking about a diversion rate from like 433 tons of garbage
Yeah,
compared to how much was recycled that year, 2017, 143 tons. So then you're nowhere close to that 50%. If
that's
those are the
indeed
right
the case.
numbers to
Okay, so that
compare,
might
it's not
be-
super clear.
that's the same one. This is the one I just brought out. Okay, so I forget which one the next one is here. So I don't seem to have that for 2020. So Public Works 2019.
Yeah, next.
Here we go. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so this is, I wonder if we want to start with the one from 2019 though. I think we'll start from 2019 and look at that one first. I wish they'd made, there's 2018 actually. Let's look at that first. 2018.
I think that's the one
Is that the one
from
I thought?
January.
Okay,
Of
sorry,
2019?
yes, this is the right one. Okay, can everybody see this one from 2019?
Okay, so
Yeah, okay,
I've got September 1st, 2018 to December. That's a quarterly report from 2018.
that's what it looks like.
But it serves as their year end, I think.
I think it does, yeah. In the fourth quarter and year end report to the Public Works Department. Okay, so blah, 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 analysis. So the fourth quarter is very productive, Public Works, blah, blah, blah. Okay, vehicles and equipment, that's nice. Rank update, landfill. Okay, here we are. For an update in landfill, please refer to Schedule A, which is down the bottom there, which I don't really understand since it just talks about, there's not much information for us here. Anyway, I'm going to go back to the top here. So landfill. Over 5,000 passed through landfill in the fourth quarter. Recycling of fibers, 23 tons to outweigh the amount of plastic and glass containers, 9 tons. There were 419 tires recycled in the fourth quarter of 2017. Landfill revenue, blah, blah, blah. We'll continue going on. Sorry, I'm just going to skim through. So we recycled 33.32 tons of containers, 76.74 tons of fibers, and 1,260 tires for the year. There's a total of 22,695 vehicles passing through the landfill site for the year. Revenues were 41,000. There'll be a tender going out for curbside garbage and recycling pickup, and the pickup of recycling. We know what came of that. So the entire Ontario Tire Stewardship Program has been renewed for this year and will continue the same as it has been in the past. People, residents be able to bring in their tires. Okay, so year in review. Anything here pertains to us, the placement of step system, placement of shingles, preparations, and that is it from our perspective in terms of stats that are of interest of meaning to us. Any questions about this information at all? I know we're just stats, so you can see as we read the other reports over the years, it gives more information in terms of what's actually happening. Okay, so I'm going to go to the.
So I think the pay scale, the wage scale, and the pay structures changes must have happened before this.
I think so. I think it was 2017, Bob.
Yeah.
I want to say, well, I'm pretty sure it was 2017.
Okay.
So now we're going to go on to the 2021. Can everybody see that? Yes. Okay, good. Again, so I'm skimming through these so I can get to the part that's of importance to us. Okay, landfill for an update. I don't know why they say that, anyways. So landfill had just almost 6,000 vehicles pass through in the fourth quarter. Recycling of fibers, 44 tons, and it continues to outweigh the amount of plastic and glass containers at 20 tons. There were 469 tires recycled this year. It seems to me that was less than last year. In the second quarter of 2018, landfill revenue was, that doesn't matter to us, except for the changes are because it continued to result with a new fee structure and weigh scale that has been implemented for accurate weight measurements. Landfill staff have also been very diligent in requiring residents to show their entry card. I think that's one of the things that made a big difference as well, didn't it, Bob? Just having, yeah,
a significant difference.
So department utilizes clean cover material and good compaction practices, stay in compliance, yada yada. I like these mentions of the link to strat plans here, although I don't know, it's just a very generic statement here. And that's it.
Yeah, and
From a stats perspective for 2020, which seems to be fairly.
That wasn't the year. That wasn't your totals though for the year end, was it?
September
No,
1st. No, that was the last quarter. So yeah, the way they've divided these up. So some of them are for the year. So I'm going to go into the next Word doc. So I don't think there was one that, because I don't think there was one.
We didn't have
no. So some are missing. Yeah, Bob. So we don't have the yearly totals for 2020. We've just got September 1st to December 31st. So we don't have the final.
Yeah.
So they're just referring to the fourth quarter here.
Yeah. So there should be something. There should be more information.
Let's see what the next one, which brings us to 2021. So this is one from 2021, and this is the year-end report for 2020. Okay. Okay. So this is our 2020 information. Buildings, equipment, landfill. So this year's been, I've seen the end of the current government tire recycling program, electronics, waste recycling. So there is no tire recycling anymore, Bob?
No, it still exists, as I understand it. It just might have changed. The current government tire recycling program. Okay, but they're still taking tires. The issue people were running into was tires on rims. The rims had to go in the metal pile, the tires had to go in the tire pile. But I think that is changing now as well. I'd have to look into that a little further because I was talking to somebody about it and they suggested that they're taking tires on rims now.
Can we find out? Can you find out for us, please, Bob?
Yep, I will.
Again, that should be something that we should be updating residents on.
Yes.
And so there is no more. So we're taking them to the landfill site, but there's no recycling program currently with the province. Is that correct?
No, I believe it's still there.
It's still there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You pay it. They may have just changed the rules. I think that's the current government tire recycling program was changed.
Okay. It's changed. Okay.
Yeah. And they're going for different So these are producer-based models?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They note that they've been replaced with producer-based, so.
Yeah, they do note
It
that, but
looks
that doesn't,
like The past, but it's not.
looks like the, but that doesn't necessarily, I mean, what does that mean for us and what happens to those tires and all of that, right? So if we could just get some clarification, Bob, that.
No, the big thing, yeah, tires on, are they
Yeah.
taking tires on the rims and the status of the tire program? Okay.
Says the tire program had no change to the contract as it was with the tire hauler and was overseen by the province. Now, the electronics recycling has changed and is now run by producers. So there will no longer be large bins now available, only several smaller bins to better sort the type of electronics. So again, is it the same? Do we have to just divide them up? Is it the same numbers or same types of electronics that are recycled? I should know this, but I don't.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, but instead of putting everything in a big bin, it's got to be sorted. Okay, so the same types of things are still available to recycle.
Yeah, and
Okay.
that would be helpful to include on our
Yeah,
list. of recycling.
Exactly, and just if we could specify
Yeah.
what those electronics are, so again, we're not throwing stuff in there like, I don't know, things that shouldn't be recycled. Claire, were you going to say something?
Oh, yeah, they're just that to let people know what the little bins are so that they can collect things in batches and have them already divided when they get there.
Yeah, exactly.
Great, yeah, great suggestion. So it also actually, there was a battery, household batteries and small tool batteries. So that's addition because we didn't have batteries for a while there. So that's another thing that the public needs to know about that. So it says this service will require a new contract to be executed for the new program to begin operation attached. So I'm assuming that's happened, but if we can just confirm that. Has anybody noticed battery recycling at the landfill site? I haven't been. I've got to go. I should go and check it out. Bob, have you noticed a bin
Yes.
for batteries?
Yeah, just AA, AAA kind of batteries.
Okay.
And they're taking the worn out batteries from your drills and stuff like that.
Excellent. Okay, well, that's good. Those are really good things to know. Again, that would be, add that to the list too, Bob. That would be great.
Yeah, no, it's, I agree.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So here we have the summary then for 2020. So we had over 25,000 vehicles passed through in 2020, which is an increase over the past years, primarily due to more residents being home during the pandemic. That makes sense. There were over 2,000 tires recycled this year. So that's a big difference. And landfill staff have also been very diligent in requiring residents to show their entry card. Yes. Okay, and I think that's all the things that. Anybody have
So
any
again, no
questions? Yeah,
stats
no
in
stats
that report
Yeah. So
on diversion.
that would be a question. Either maybe they have the stats, Bob. They just have chosen not to put them in the end of year report, which seems very odd.
Or is it under another heading, Annie?
Well, I'm looking here, buildings, equipment, landfill, which is, we just looked at, but stat plan, no.
No, I meant in the other,
I don't think so. So far, these summaries, the year-end reports that, from Public Works have not included that.
Only
So-
in 2018 for 2018. The next
2018.
2 years
Yeah.
didn't
So-
have it.
I'm assuming the stats are available, Bob, but they
Yes, it's
really need to be included in the year-end report because that's super important information, right? So it may be just an oversight, let's say that.
or I suspect that they must be on some other format because he would have to report this.
You would have to, but as you can see, I'm going to go back down to the 2018. This is the one from 2018, the first one that you looked at.
Yeah,
Um,
he at least had the tonnage.
He did
right?
have them. No, he had them in this one. So for some reason, he's dropped off. Hold on here. So you can see here, he's got the fibers listed,
Yeah.
but since then, they have not listed them. So for 2019 and for 2020, those statistics are not part of the landfill section.
Yeah.
And also to note when that's produced for this year end as well, Bob, to make sure that they put those
Yes.
back in again. So they've dropped out for whatever reason they've dropped out.
Because
An error.
if I find it's available in another format, I'll get it off to you.
It should be part of the year end summary though. that's
It
important,
is, but I'm
right?
just
Yeah.
wondering for size, whether it came in, came in a different format, but we'll look into that.
But it,
Because we had the
Because-
tonnage in the spreadsheet.
yeah, it's
But
there.
that's not publicly available, whereas the reports would be, I would think. So it'd be nice to have them in there.
Yep.
So I suggest there was just an error. They just forgot to put it in there, Bob. So they did it for 2018, but they haven't done it for 2019. They have not done it for 2020.
Okay.
And
So
then
the actual
If
tonnage,
we're,
yeah.
yeah, if we're going to ask them that,
For to
It might
Schedule A,
be-
and there is no Schedule A.
go ahead, Claire.
oh yeah, no, sorry, Janice, that's a good point. I saw
Sorry, I
that
didn't
too.
hear you. I didn't hear you speak, Janice. Sorry.
No, it
That's
just-
not-
It says refer to Schedule A,
Yeah, but that
and there's
doesn't.
no Schedule
There's,
A.
well, there is a Schedule A, but it's,
There'll
I'm
be.
sorry, it doesn't mean anything. This is what Schedule A is, but
Yeah, and I mean,
what is
that
that? That doesn't do anything for anything. So
I
you know,
haven't.
that reference makes no sense to me.
Suspicion it really is not Schedule.
No,
A,
but this
something
is
else,
Schedule
but,
A.
Like,
This
I've never own thing.
So
Yeah,
it
That's
says
Schedule A, that
Schedule A
would be a
graph.
link.
Yeah, graph. It says here, attachments. Yeah, graph comparing the fourth quarter result for landfill from 2017 to 18. But this is what appears below it.
there is none.
And then,
Yeah.
so,
That's just a sign off sheet that it went to those departments.
yeah, so
So that
where
was
is
a
the,
link.
So we're
to-
missing.
yeah, we're missing information. So if that's the case, then we're missing that, whatever this attachment is.
Yeah.
Because,
What I think would be nice to include in the year-end report, if possible, if we're gonna add that they write out the tonnage of recycling for the year, would be that diversion rate, because I'm not entirely sure, looking at the spreadsheet of numbers, what we're exactly comparing when it says landfill, recycling, and then we have garbage tonnage as a whole separate graph. So if there was a way to include the diversion rate for waste, to recycling from waste going into the landfill, that would be great.
Yes.
So
No,
it's super
we'll try and
clear.
track it down, because I suspect that the information is out there somewhere, but it's just not in this format.
yeah. And I suspect you may be right. And when you're, when, in all fairness to staff, when you're attaching all these documents and by email, sometimes things fall by the wayside, right? So
Mhm.
Like I've
Or
never
it's
forgotten to
bundles,
attach
yeah.
something.
what was that, Janice?
I would say like I've never forgotten to attach something. And
Yeah, I
if
know.
we can get it into a format that is quite simple and straightforward, that's something that we can use to
Yes.
encourage people to get the right numbers up and the right numbers down. Just
Exactly.
as a visual. They won't necessarily worry about every single ton and what it means, but
Mhm.
as a visual, that gives you something to spur people on,
Agreed.
just a motivating kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
And it's
teacher,
important for, it's
right?
important for staff, you know, for all of us to know
Yeah.
that, to know and understand that. We can't make any changes without that information. So I'm looking again back at the year end for 2020. But as Claire's pointed out, you know, there's no, we talked about the tires and the batteries and the electronics, but there's no reference to any, and they talk about the tires here and the vehicles through, but there's no reference to any of the actual recycling.
Nope, so that's, I'm just going through my to-do list. So a comprehensive recycling list as regards e-waste, batteries, tires, and rims, etc. as well. And then publish that on all media available to the village. And then the year-end tonnage for recycling and waste for, so 2018, we're good. So we need 2019, 2020.
Yeah, and we recommend they include that in their year-end report as well, as they did in 2018, have forgotten to do it in 2019 and 2020, and it's just probably an oversight. It should be
Yeah.
included.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to double check and see if the
Yeah.
version they sent us of the agenda
Yeah,
has a link in it, because they'll print it and of course it has no link on it at all. But
yeah, so,
anyway, I'll look
yeah,
into
yeah,
it.
that's great, thank you, Bob. And I think that's the end of the documents we were looking at. Am I
think so.
missing any, do you think? I don't think I am. I think there were 7, if I'm not mistaken.
There was a very.
So 1, 2, oh, there's a PDF here. Just 1 second here. I'm looking at this PDF. You didn't open
The
this
other one
PDF.
simply had more information about what could and couldn't be recycled properly.
Yeah,
At
actually,
this
I've got,
point,
there is
Oh.
one last one for 2021. It's called and this is called the
It's the
recycling
response.
program. Yeah,
Yeah, response to the petition, I believe.
yes, let me just open that document. Let me share my, sorry, yes. Share my screen again here. Mhm. It is the PDF. Just opened it. I'll put it. This one right here. Can everybody see that?
That's the one
Yeah,
that
yeah.
has all the, yep.
So this was put out on March 8th of 2021, and this is the information to council. So I'm not sure this was thrown in. I think we've seen this document, certainly this, yeah, as you say, Claire, that was my only thinking, was it was in response to the petition that we put out, or that I shouldn't say we, that Sustainable Merrickville Wolford put out. And that was the three different options that were put forward. Council does hereby direct staff to continue contract recycling services to Limerick at $45,000. The second one was to hire a qualified external consultant to do a request for pre-qualification to obtain pricing options for new recycling programs to determine what benefits would be, to issue a RFP similar to that which was issued by North Grenville. And the third one was that staff explore possible partnerships with other municipalities. And if memory serves, I think it was reported back that staff did actually explore other opportunities. Does everybody remember that? And saw that not as an option?
I can give you council's thumbnail on this if you'd want, just a thumbnail view.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so when we got the suggestion or report, and we got the recommendations from the survey that went out, or petition, I guess, that the council did contact the other municipalities. Now, some of them signed 5-year contracts with Limerick. Everybody, each municipality in the county it's all piecemeal. There is no, other than using, I believe, the recycling center in Brockville, they all end up using it. I'm pretty sure I'm not sure if that's still current, but it's the recycling center in Brockville that determines what they'll take. So you have, is it Mterra that Ottawa?
Mterra, yeah, but Mterra is out of Ottawa, right? So I mean, that's the difference. But most people in our area have actually switched to Mterra. There are very few people using Limerick right now. That's what we were understood. Like NG, even Montague is using Mterra.
Yeah,
So,
but that's two municipalities. Now, the other thing to keep in mind about these municipalities is they don't have they have waste transfer sites.
Yeah, they don't have waste
a
transfer
landfill.
Yeah, they don't.
So they're paying to transport everything. Every single thing, like right down to the pound that goes into those places has to come out again.
So then, Bob, and that's an excellent point.
Yeah.
Then the comparison in cost we're not comparing apples to apples then.
Not at all that. Oh yeah, like North Grenville's budget for waste management is huge because it all leaves. Every bit of it leaves North Grenville. So once you're putting it on a truck, it'd be interesting. And again, I'm a little bit of a cynic, but I don't want to be totally cynical about it. But there are definitely cases where the truck load of recyclables arrives in Ottawa at Mterra and then goes on to the landfill at Trail Road Dump. If it's rejected, and again, how you recycle is another issue. I'm not sure if they're still at single stream in North Grenville or not.
Yeah, and I guess for me, if I'm looking at these numbers here, from a cost perspective, if it is that much more expensive for places like Montague and NG, because their waste management system is very different because they don't have a landfill site. Yeah. So of course their cost is going to be significantly higher. Are we comparing the costs accurately. So if I'm looking at these numbers here, you know, $157,000 with Montague.
Yeah.
Plus an annual fee. Ours is 45,000, but ours is a quite much simpler process, I would assume, than the one that that Montague is doing, because as you say, and then everything is shipped out because they don't have landfill sites. So my question is,
understanding in Montague as well is that they are linked in with the town of Smiths Falls. So it's not their own contract that they have with Emterra, that
Okay.
they're part of the Smiths Falls contract. That's my understanding as far as I know. So it would, I don't know what the barriers are to getting a quote from Emterra. It is something I think might be worth checking.
Well,
just to make sure we're comparing apples to apples, Bob, that's the only question. That's,
Well,
I mean,
And-
because you
and I
make a
agree.
valid point about,
I just want to make sure we're not paying to send it to somebody else's landfill under the guise of recycling it. I don't know where within this area we recycle Tetra Paks, but they take them in North Granville.
and they take them in Ottawa.
But
And
there's
they
no
take them-
indication. I haven't seen a plant that will, when I got on the website for Tetra Pak and tried to find a recycling facility for Tetra Paks, I couldn't find one, not through their website. And I think Emterra's website, the only thing I could find that might be recycling them was in Mississauga, but I'm not sure whether they recycle them.
But is that for us to, I mean, that's a big question. Is it
It
for
is.
us to follow down the line where all this stuff goes, just do this and throw everything in the garbage? Or do we, you know, where,
conversely-
what's
Something
our
you could
role?
ask.
But are you really recycling something, or
Well,
are you
but
just
that's, I
putting
don't
it
know,
in?
that's the point. I don't know how you feel, Claire, go ahead. I'm not, yeah.
I just think we can ask the company where it's going, where they process Tetra Paks is not, they should be open to answering, no problem, I
Okay.
would think. And the other thing, to your point, Bob, is I mean, our understanding is that Limerick is doing the same thing if things are contaminated, that they're going to
yeah.
landfill sites. So it's just, I just think it's worth exploring an option and seeing and asking those questions, not committing to anything.
No, and
But
you're right. It's not my place to discourage you either. You know,
No,
I'm not
no.
trying to. I'm just, if anything, perhaps I'm, I should just shut up more. But I shouldn't be discouraging you in your direction, because you maybe, it may be a very valid direction. It may work.
I just think it's, if we have the information, we can make a more educated decision. I just think the numbers that were pulled, if we look at this, the costing and the paragraph that I've got above here, based on what you said, Bob, which I forgot about, the fact that we're the only ones around here that actually have a waste management, like a landfill site, no one else does. It's obvious it'd be a lot more expensive for those other municipalities to engage in a recycling program of any sort, right? Unlike us, it's
I
a
would
different
say-
situation.
I would actually argue the difference on that, Annie. I think that a recycling program, they don't have an option where to put their waste. It's all going out.
Yeah,
So any recycling program offered that, and the more comprehensive the recycling program, if it's a few dollars more, then
it's
it's
worth
certainly
it for
worthwhile.
them. Yeah,
It's worthwhile to them, but they're already paying that initial cost. If
Yeah.
it's $100 for a load of garbage and it's 120 for a load of recycling, it's worth their while to
Yeah.
spend the $20. Anyway, sorry.
So we've got a cost with Limerick of $27,000, which seems very, very, very low to me. I don't know. For the cost of the roll-off bins used by rural residents at landfill site are transported to Rockville and exchange as needed at $17,000 per year. By comparison, Montague is in a contract with Emterra at a cost of $157,000 plus fuel adjustment fees in the amount of $120,000. So nowhere in here, as I've scrolled through this document, does it say that we actually got a quote from Emterra. Just, so I think it would behoove us to just have that information. I don't know, it seemed to me there was a number that was thrown out at one point, but I went through this document and I didn't see a cost.
Well, where it's really got stalled, you're on the page now that's stalled, looking into it, the legislative changes that are coming up.
Yeah,
So just to touch on that, we're in the first wave. Do the municipality, that will go to the producer based model, and I have no idea what that's going to bring.
No, and that's by 2025,
That's-
although the transition plan was approved by Stewardship Ontario Board on, in August and submitted to the resource, blah, blah, blah. This means that no delay is anticipated in the transition timelines originally set out in Mr. 2019. Okay, so the
a
blue
year
box
from-
is expected
Yeah.
to transition to full producer responsibilities with the municipality starting to transition on January 1st, 2023.
And that's where
So
we are.
that's-
We're in that first wave for this new producer-based model. And again, I wish I could give you more information right now,
Yeah.
but we can certainly put that.
Nobody seems to know about that and what that actually means.
No.
But in the meantime, we've got, we're just going to, we've got a year and something, right?
Yep.
And then, what do we do? Just sit back and do nothing in the meantime?
I think the education programs that you're talking about are certainly worth launching on.
Well, it's definitely, it's not dealing with the problem, but at least it's avoiding us throwing things into landfill site by having people ruin the blue box because they're putting things in there that shouldn't be in there. That addresses that issue. I mean, I'm personally not thrilled that we're not doing more, obviously, but I don't know. So going out to market for a new contract at this time would likely require the village to execute a new contract for waste and recycling collection. Staff have continued with the current month-to-month contract with Limerick. This is in part intended to place the village in the most flexible, favorable position. It is hoped that in this way, the village will be able to capture the anticipated increased environmental benefits, yada, yada. Alternatively, a short-term one-year contract to bridge the time until the new model is implemented may not generate the same favorable rates enjoyed by the village now, since the current month-to-month rates are based upon previous longer-term contracts. So there's a cost implication, I guess. The following are some options for council to consider. Option 1, continue to contract with Limerick Services at $45,000 until the producer-based one. Options, it says options and just gives it one option. Doesn't sound like an option to me, but anyway, it appears that the current recycling program offered by Limerick is the most cost effective. Maintaining the village's current recycling program means the village would continue to provide recycling services over and above what is required through provincial legislation. The option 2, hire a qualified external consultant to do the request, the RFPQ to obtain pricing and options for a new recycling program to see what the benefits would be to issue an RFP. Can we just ask for price? Do we have to hire a consultant to do that? I don't know. Am I missing something?
No,
Or
but
it's like
that was in the request. Was it
Yeah.
not to hire a qualified external consultant?
to do a request for pre-qualification to obtain pricing and options for a new recycling program to see what the benefits. Where did that come from? Are you saying it came from us? Oh,
I thought that was put forward in the, was it in the strategic plan? That might go all the way back to the 2011, the environmental section in the strategic plan.
Does it ring a bell to you, Claire? Doesn't ring a bell to me at all.
No, it could have been from the waste management
Could
plan.
have been. I don't think it's from the strat plan. It sounds like it's too many layers for the strat plan. It's not direct enough. That'd be mine. So to me, I mean, option 2 could simply be, could we just not get some pricing? Do we have to hire a consultant to find out if we should ask for an RFP? I don't know. I could be very naive in making that statement. Can option 2 be simpler? Can we just find out the pricing if that's the case?
Yeah, okay.
Hiring an external consultant who is qualified to prepare an RFPQ. Okay. Yeah, so this approach is likely to take many months to complete and may result in the findings that there are no options available in the village. So here we are, paying someone, and there may be no options. So the final option is looking for opportunities to partner. This approach may take many months to complete, and the village may find that no other municipalities. This approach may also put additional strain on the village's landfill operations. I'm not sure how it would do that. But however, partnerships with the municipality is an innovative way to provide services while attempting to keep costs as low as possible. So I think it's worth exploring because there's a lot of assumptions in this paragraph that I'm reading. I don't know how everybody else feels about that, but so on one side, they're saying it'll take a long time and it'll affect they'll put a strain on the landfill operations, but then it's also saying it might be a viable option in an innovative way. So I'm not sure.
A Covering both
Comments, any
properties.
comments about that, or am I not reading this properly, or is it just me? Claire's like,
This whole document sounds to me like they had decided on option one
yeah, that's
from the get-go, and
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like other options were thoroughly explored in terms of actually reaching out and asking those relevant questions. Annie was mentioning about price and about Tetra Paks, for example. If that was a concern, it could have been asked if they take those to Mississauga, you know, when they have a full load, because they might. And we don't know, and it feels like at this point we won't pursue any of that. And it feels like this was in March of 2021, so earlier this year, where if that investigation had been done and we had found out that the price was comparable and we could have recycled more, maybe we could have done a contract just for 2022, but I feel like that ship has sailed, unfortunately, just timing wise with the budget. I think that's a shame.
I think but I don't think it doesn't stop us exploring something for next year's budget, though. Right? Because these questions were not answered. You're absolutely right. I mean, there were recommendations and the conversation was had, but there were no decisions made. There's an assumption they just were going to stick with they more or less told us they were going to stick to the month-to-month contract. I think that was more or less a verbal. The conclusion in this is, go ahead, Claire.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if it's switching over, if we do switch over in January of 2023, then it doesn't seem like it's gonna be able to be pursued, basically, at this point.
We don't know what that means. I think that transition to is going to be a much longer one than a year. You know, if it takes place in 2023, I don't imagine that producers are it's going to move that quickly. I think it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, just a little background on that. We're supposed to be in the first wave of.
So what does that mean, Bob, when you say that? I'm not sure I understand.
Well, it's a 2-year rollout. The intention, as I recall, and I think you'll see if you back up to it, if the information's there, that the entire province is supposed to be covered by 2025 under this new program, but they're going to start the program in 2023. And we're in the first wave of municipalities that is going into this producer-based model.
So we've offered to go into it, is that what you're saying? Or we've signed up? Or
we've been directed.
Okay.
That this is where, so we had there's a list of municipalities that'll be in the first wave and we're part of that. So I don't know how much anything's going to change other than that the bins that are going to be there will be, I assume, paid for by the producers, as opposed to whether or not they're paid for by the municipality or how much of the municipal share is decreased. Because a lot of the materials, even if they're recycled, they're a negative value, so they are going to cost you money. I'm not sure how aggressive the province is going to be with producers either. Is this going to change how the packaging the producers use? That's the hope.
That's the hope, right? And I suggest that's not going to happen by 2023. That's a huge shift and very, very, very quickly.
Yeah.
I think it'll depend a lot on what provincial government we have going into 2022, 2023.
Yes, that'll be exactly.
That's what's going to be the change.
Yeah, and that's it'd be interesting. It would be interesting to know whose plan this was, whether this had been a plan that's.
I would suggest it was the Liberals, probably. I doubt it's the Conservatives. But I'm putting it out there.
If they're carrying forward with it, we'll see how this is supposed to work. Yeah. I think so much of this could be resolved. I understand there's complexities with packaging, but so much of this could be resolved with just a comprehensive packaging. Just put it in this so we can recycle it. You know, it's ridiculous when you think back to the fact that, 40 years ago, all beer bottles were one shape and size, and they had 7 years or 7 cycles or whatever it was. You know what I mean? Like, we were recycling well years ago, long time ago, and we kind of went for a total crap on the recycling thing.
And the single plastic. I mean, there are lots of society has changed a lot in the last. So that's So we could talk about this forever and ever. I want to pay attention to the time and respect everybody's. I like to try and get these meetings done in an hour. So I don't know what we've concluded from this very interesting conversation we just had. Do we want to find out, to look at some pricing? Do we want to make a suggestion that they actually explore further with Mterra to see if they can get a quote from Mterra? Is that what we're thinking, Janice, Claire? Like, is that?
Well, Bob, when is the 2022 budget set? When does that get approved?
We'll get a look at the budget in January. We'll get our
Okay.
year. So the new budget coming forward, just to be quite honest with you, there'll be a municipal election in that cycle as well. The next
Yes.
council might be much more keen on it. Whether or not they're going to, I think it'd be interesting to contact Mterra and see what they charge. Whether we could get an idea just looking at the totals for just the recycling for Montague or Smiths Falls, tons of recycling and what it costs them to move it, we could have a fairly good idea of what our tonnage would cost, perhaps. Although, again, it's tough to compare apples and apples if you're able to recycle a great deal more material. But I'm not sure if there's different rates on certain types of plastic where they cost you more, or how finely they divide it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If we could get those answers in time for that budget approval in January, that would be amazing. I don't see how we'd.
Is there a way that this committee can support that by getting some of that information? If staff cannot, is there a way that we can play a role in that? I wonder, Claire, I'm just out. Janice,
Yeah.
I'm just out speaking out loud here, thinking out loud, I should say. Is there a way that we can support that research or getting that information? Is that within our role? Can that be our role?
If council's okay with us asking, we can ask, but I don't know if Mterra would talk to us as individuals and or if council would want us to do that, but.
Because I know council, staff is strapped and time is precious. And is that something, Bob, that would, given the guidelines, and
I could try just a text to the CAO and suggest that the committee would be interested in getting some actual pricing.
Yeah.
Would that be within your purview? Yeah. So.
And one of us could just get, find out the question to ask and have more information and get it from Brad so that we know what we're actually asking, or, with guidelines. Obviously, we're not going to go off on our own and do whatever, but with guidelines from staff of what to ask and,
and things like that, we'd start with just what is recyclable? What are they doing that we're not? That would be a good place to start.
Sure.
So that then you have a comparison of what you're paying for. Like what would be the advantage of going with them? So
because I would certainly be willing to take on that task. I would be I would
help you if needed. For sure.
It might be as simple as contacting Montague and North Grenville and just getting their list of what they recycle.
You know that Claire lives in Montague, so or has a house in.
Their fee structure may be different, so
Oh,
probably better to
But what they recycle would be, it would be interesting to know what the difference would be.
There's a lot. Well, Claire can tell you right now.
They do accept Tetra Paks. They accept black plastics.
Clamshells.
Yeah.
See, again,
they accept more plastics, basically.
Yeah.
Well, the only plastics that are actually being accepted for recycling, from the little bit that I've been researching, is 1, 2, and 5. Everything else is garbage.
But the question is then, why is Mterra taking them if that is the case? There's no benefit for them to be doing that. Is it our place to pass judgment and ask those questions? Our goal is to get things out of our last landfill site, right? Ultimately, the life of our landfill site is a priority for us. That's been identified. So if things are not going into the landfill site, isn't that what we should be focusing on? What happens at the end of the stream, we don't have control over. I completely hear what you're saying, Bob. I hate that part of it. But is that within? Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean,
I don't want to.
Are we going to? Can we second guess Mterra? So you're taking these things, but what are you really doing?
Where are they going?
We want proof.
I'd love to know where they're going.
Well, yeah, but I don't.
But otherwise, all of our Tetra Paks are going into our landfill.
Garbage.
is what we're
Bob.
saying.
Yeah, so what
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
so we don't want things in our landfill site. That's what we can control, is to minimize what goes into our landfill site and increase the life expectancy of it. That's all we have control over. So whatever we can do to make sure that less goes into our landfill site is our job, I think.
I would agree, except for the costs. Like, I'm not trying to be ridiculous or anything, but if we have whatever, 80 years in our landfill site right now, if current trends continue, they're actually suggesting we might have 100 years in our landfill site.
I'd like to understand why that changed, but anyway, go ahead.
Why the new compactor made a big difference.
Okay.
It is being compacted properly, and Brad's doing a much better job than
Okay.
was previously done. But so if we accept things like a projected life for our landfill, yes, sending materials anywhere other than our landfill will increase its life. However, the costs of sending that material become the factor then. So are you, not to be an ass or anything, but are you dumping your garbage in somebody else's landfill and paying dearly to do it? That's the other question. And so to me, whether it's being in the spirit of recycling, is it being recycled? Anyway, I'm talking way too much here.
No, and I hear what you're saying, and I think, I don't think any of us could disagree with that, Bob, but is it?
They're very fair questions, but
It is very,
why don't we ask them to?
yeah.
Exactly.
We can find out that information. So again, I think if it helps and we can get some information for the budget, Claire and I would be prepared to get some information from Entera so that we have some true information.
So is it Entera, E-N-T?
MEM,
I thought so.
isn't it? I think Mterra, TERRA. EM,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And that who Montague and North Grenville just switched to.
That's two. Yeah. So rough costs per ton, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
and we can just support staff in getting that information.
Exactly.
For the sake of time, I think that might be something that our committee can help with.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. And so that'll be fairly easy. I'll get back to you on that. So
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a yes or no on that one, but,
Yeah, but the
but we
comprehensive.
are offering.
So just to go over my takeaways here.
Yep.
Comprehensive recycling list. We want to know about e-waste, batteries, what's being accepted, tires, or whether it's tires on rims.
And we're there, and make sure that the information is posted in those areas, yeah.
And then published on all media available to the village.
Yep.
Year-end tonnage for recycling and waste totals for 2019 and 2020 with a recommendation they be included in 2021's report.
Like as was done in 2018. So I think it was just an oversight. So let's just, I think they just forgot. Yeah.
See 2018, for example. Okay. And start looking for information on the producer-based model and get that back to the committee as soon as possible. And then I'll check with Doug Robertson on whether the EAC can inquire with Entera as to rough costs per ton of recycling. Or I guess if you want to look at it that way, or just, rough costs on recycling. And and when you speak, if your committee does get a chance to speak to them, it doesn't have to be down to the penny or anything like that. If they can just get an idea of what they have. And I do see the point. Just one quick question, Claire. Is it single stream recycling in Montague as well? Everything goes into one box?
No, we have the same thing as here. We have biweekly fiber and container, and then the garbage weekly.
And so you take just for my own education, styrofoam. Do you take styrofoam, or is it primarily the Tetra Packs?
Styrofoam is nobody.
Don't believe it's styrofoam. No one takes that.
Nobody
They do take, I think, all of the numbers of plastic except for one, which I believe is the styrofoam actually. Yeah. And then they accept the black plastic, the Tetra Packs, and I believe shells and things.
Okay, so they take the packaging. That's pretty comprehensive. They don't take single-use plastics, do they, or like film?
No. But I would love to ask them where it goes. So thank you for bringing up those
so we'll find out,
because I think that's worth finding out. Absolutely, as to whether those get recycled properly.
Yep.
And thank you also, Bob, for finding us all that information. for this time. It was very appreciated.
Yeah,
No
no, it's
problem.
very, yeah, we really, really appreciate it. It's been very helpful to us, Bob. It's very
Try and
timely.
fill
and
in
very
some
helpful.
holes. Yeah.
No, no, it's great. But I think we're all on the same page, right? We want to do what's right. And that's, okay. So I know over time here, new business, we didn't have any new business because we've still been focusing on the waste management. I think we finally made some inroads in this. So I'm pleased about that. How do we feel about December 22nd meeting? Is that okay? Is that okay, or do you want to wait to take December off and meet in January? Whatever everybody wants. It'd be great to get that information. My only concern is that then our minutes don't get approved for 2 months, right? My concern is these darn minutes and everything's a month behind, right? Because we have to.
You've approved your minutes to go to council.
Yeah, but these minutes are not going to be improved, and if we wait till a January meeting, then these minutes won't be approved till January, right? So it delays everything. I mean, if there's a way for us just to have a quick meeting and just approve minutes, I would be good with that.
Would it be possible if we could get the answer as soon as we can about whether we're allowed to approach MTerra to ask the questions? We could do that prior to our between now and our next meeting, if we had permission. And then we could just meet back up in January to report on that, possibly, or just do a very quick meeting in December to report on that.
Or even just to approve the minutes. So that's the
Yeah.
challenges, right? So even to have a quick meeting in December, simply to approve the minutes and maybe the MTerra information, just then we're not behind, we're not 2 months behind with the minutes.
I'm willing to do it. I'll be bleary eyed by then, but
Yeah, so we can just
And
simply
reach
have
out.
it, we can make a sort of a 10-minute meeting and do it that way, just simply to approve minutes. Janice, how do you feel about that?
Not a problem.
Okay, great. Because we can't do it, unfortunately, by email. We used to be able to do that. We can't do that anymore, so.
I'll get as many of your questions answered as possible,
That's great.
as
And if
quickly as
you,
possible, and I'll cycle it back through you, Annie.
that's great. And if we're missing anything, Bob, or you need any more information, have any questions, don't hesitate. You've been super helpful. I would like to mention that again. We appreciate your support.
Oh, listen,
Yeah.
this is, I would say, the best organized committee going right now. So
Oh, it's good. We care. We really do care. Okay, everybody. Thank you so
Now,
much. And my apologies for waiting. So Janice, do you have any questions?
December?
Yeah, so we're going to do a
Next
quick,
meeting in
yeah.
December?
The December 22nd.
22nd?
Yeah, and that'll be a very quick one. And the purpose really is twofold: to approve the minutes from this meeting and
Yep.
also to hopefully know if we can move forward with MTerra, because those are priorities.
Got it.
Okay. And Bob, I have one question for you before we go.
Sure.
The fourth member of our team has yet to come to a meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
so I'm
can inquire
concerned.
as to,
Yeah, I'm concerned about, he sends his apologies, but in my past, it was 3 meetings and you're off the committee. So
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
make a discreet inquiry as to rules of
If you don't
attendance
mind.
at committee meetings.
yeah, it
Yeah.
used to be that way. It may have changed since then, but I, for one, find it as chair very frustrating.
Well, and also it'll put you in a tough position getting a quorum if someone's sick or away or
Exactly.
on holidays, etc. So
Yeah.
rules of attendance.
So I don't think he's been to one meeting. If I could, maybe one, but I don't even think one. Claire, do you, Dennis? I don't think one meeting.
Yeah, and it's better if staff remind him than
Well, he knows and responds, but he doesn't, he always has a reason not to be here. And I'm sure they're legitimate, but it just, as you say, if somebody is sick or not here, then I have no quorum, and then it's,
Mhm.
I would like to have somebody who's
And
more
who
engaged.
is this, by the way? I don't.
Just bear with me 1 second, it just totally slipped my mind. It is Paul Marriott.
Oh, Merritt?
Marriott,
Oh, Marriott, okay.
yeah. So I haven't had that discussion with him yet, but I think it's something that, it's a challenge for sure.
Yeah, so I can do
Thankfully,
is
the
just
rest of the
wonder if
committee's been
he,
really good, but yeah.
I'll just find out what the meeting attendance rules
Yeah,
are, and
yeah.
perhaps staff could discreetly send it to him and suggest to get in contact with the chair if he's unable to.
He does say he's not coming, but that's the point. He just never comes.
Well, no, he should just tell you if he's unable to fulfill his obligation.
Well, yeah, to me,
Overall.
he has not. But I don't know what the rules are, so I'd like to find out. So
Yes, and
That's awesome.
You shouldn't have to chase him, so we'll take a look at that.
thank you, Bob. Thank you again. Thank you, everybody. Anybody have any questions before we adjourn the meeting at all? Thank you so much for a great meeting. I really, really appreciate it. Claire, you look like you want to say something.
No, I was just
No.
gonna say, do I have to motion to adjourn?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay, I will do so.
Thank you. Thank
And
you,
I'll
everybody.
be happy to second that.
Thank you,
There we
Janice.
are.
Okay,
You're
thanks very
welcome.
much, Bob.
Okay, bye. I'll see you
Okay.
at Christmas
Good
in
evening,
Marysville.
everyone.